This is Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller. For the next hour, you'll learn impactful insider information as Christian and Dan teach about the ins and outs of Seattle's real estate market. Now, here's Christian and Dan.
Hey. Well, welcome to the very first show of Seattle Real Estate Radio. My name is Christian Nossum.
And I'm Dan Keller.
And I am a real estate agent here in the Seattle area. And Dan?
I'm a mortgage professional here in the Seattle area as well, and I'm excited today. Today is a big day, man.
Yeah, it's a very big day. It's our very first show.
First show.
I'm pumped.
You and I, how long's it been? Since 2010, we've been doing videos together and hosting events and just educating people. Mm-hmm. And doggone it, it's time. We got our own radio show.
Finally time we got our own show.
That's it.
I don't know what everyone was waiting on. I mean, it's us. We should be on all the time. I mean, no, I'm just joking.
We are now.
Well, yes, now we are. Every Monday, 3 to 4. KKOL 1300. Yeah, I mean, it's fun. I'm glad that we finally got on. I'm glad that KKOL, and I'm kind of honored, honestly. Honored that KKOL asked us to be on. I think they saw what we were doing out in the community, and they realized that, we know our stuff, and we're good people.
Yeah, and the fact that we've got a relevant message, Christian. We've got a lot of information that's getting thrown at us every single day. Things are changing weekly, monthly in our industries, and so we've got a lot of really great information to be sharing with our Seattle community. So.
Yeah. So today on the show, what we're going to talk about is, first, we're going to kind of go over the tech boom and how that's changed the real estate market here in Seattle. Then we're going to kind of go over, Dan and I are each going to give a few updates. So I'm going to talk about the real estate market, how that's changed here in Seattle. Dan will talk about the mortgage market and what's going on with some new TRID guidelines and stuff like that, which acronyms.
More acronyms.
Yeah. Dan and I don't like acronyms.
No, I do not like acronyms.
No one understands them.
I can't remember them.
And I can't either. And no one knows what they mean anyway. So, yeah. So we'll go over that. There's actually some big news on that front that just started October 3rd. Yep. So just, 10 days ago or something like that.
We're in our first week.
Yep. So we'll talk about that just a little bit. And then at the end, we're going to go over a little hidden gem. One of the best Euro places in all of Seattle. Best Mediterranean food by far. And it's one of my favorites.
I'm not going to turn down a good Euro.
No. In fact, I think we're going to have to get some lunch or dinner tonight after the show. We'll have to hop over there because it's not far from the studio. We're right in the heart of downtown, right in the shadow of CenturyLink Field here. And it's only on Capitol Hill. It's a rock throws away.
Well, I figured we'd leave it up to you to bring food and or brew into the picture.
Yes. Well, I do like my beer.
You're the connoisseur.
Yes. Well, I don't know about connoisseur, but so let's talk about the tech boom a little bit. So over the last few years, our clientele has really kind of evolved from, well, maybe not evolved. It's really turned into, we've been helping a ton of tech employees. So why don't you kind of explain who we've been helping a lot and how that's going?
I think it's a product, Christian, of how you and I manage our businesses, though, too. We do a lot of, we're online. We produce a lot of video. And the tech business is producing employment for a generation referred to as the millennials.
Yep.
And so as
I am one.
You are one. I'm kind of not one on the edge, if you will, the outer edge. But I think like one, put it that way.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. I think what the markets have done over the last couple of years, and what the emergence of the millennials in the Seattle marketplace has done for the real estate and the real estate home values, to be particular. So I think we're going to talk about that. I think another thing that I wanted to talk about as it relates to millennials, some of the things I wanted to ask you is, what is it specifically doing to home values, and where are these millennials purchasing? And so I think that's a lot of really great information.
I'll just answer that question right now. I mean, a lot of the tech buyers in Seattle, most of them work South Lake Union or downtown. There's others that are Microsoft over in Redmond. Sure. But the majority of them that want to live in Seattle are working in South Lake Union or downtown. So they're either a startup like Moz, they're Amazon employee, who knows? But there's Facebook, Google in Fremont, Tableau, which is in Fremont.
Yep.
So we have clients that work at all these companies, and all they want, what I hear over and over and over, they don't want to be more than 30-minute commute away from work. That's what they want. So within a 30-minute commute. So let's think about that. If you're working in Fremont, thankfully you get to go a little bit more north, and you're going to get a little more for your money going that way as well. So, but if you're South Lake Union, you got the lake that's taking up a lot of real estate there, and there's not a lot that's actually for sale. So you're going Capitol Hill, you're going Madison Park, you're going maybe Maple Leaf, View Ridge, Wedgwood, Ballard, Green Lake, but you're not going much more north than that. That's about your 30-minute commute. So these neighborhoods, and I don't think this want to be 30 minutes away or quicker. I don't think that's going to change.
Yeah.
No one wants to sit in traffic. Traffic's not going to get better. Even with the light rail that's opening up, that's not going to reduce traffic necessarily. It's not going to take cars off the road because there's more and more people coming into Seattle. So if you're looking to buy, these are the areas that you need to be looking, because that's where the market's going to increase the most. That's where you can make the most bang for your buck. They're great neighborhoods to live in anyway. And so that's kind of where everybody's looking.
Well, and the bigger question, well, that's not the bigger, but another question is, what has it done to home values? I mean, this last summer, for example, I get clients that come in and they're pre-approved. I see a pre-approval letter go out for $650,000, and then I get a call to revise the pre-approval letter at $740 because of an escalation. So what has this just recently, let's say in the last 6 to 12 months, what has it done to home values?
I mean, they've gone up drastically.
Yeah.
And I'll go over this more in my market update here in the second segment. But I mean, it's gone up dramatically. So in Seattle, there's reports, they're varying all over the place, but MLS, the Northwest MLS, is reporting that they've gone up, and they don't break it down close enough to just Seattle. They go like different regions. They say about 7.1% or something like that. I think it's closer to 13 to 14 because they're accounting for South Seattle, West Seattle, and North Seattle as well as downtown.
Well, a message that I'm getting out to all my past clients right now, and a message that I'm trying to get out to the public, I'm producing a lot of commentary around this subject, is if you purchased a home in the last 3 years and you did not put 20% down, there's a very good chance right now you have enough equity to remove that private mortgage insurance. So I'm seeing a lot of those applications coming through our office right now where because of this boom, if you will, this tech boom, it's benefiting current homeowners. So, whether you bought in the last 3 years, and then, couple that with rates have dropped back down, and we're going to spend some time talking about this today. Why? Where are they going, and why are they so low again? But you couple the home values improving and increasing, along with historic low interest rates again.
Yep. Well, I mean, you just helped me with one of my investment properties. You helped me refinance that, and I dropped my interest rate a whole point.
Yeah.
So now I'm at, I don't even remember what it got to, 4.75 or something like that.
Yeah, and you're saving an extra $500 a month.
$500
and that's
a
cash
month.
flow.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's just additional cash flow in my pocket. So thanks, Dan. I appreciate that. You can help me afford more euros at the end of the show. So
exactly what you need. I'm sure Shannon would agree.
I don't need more euros.
So let me ask you this: what are some of the features that these millennials, if you will, these tech buyers are looking for in homes? Or are they homes? Are they townhomes? Are they condos? What are they looking for?
So a lot of times they want newer or brand new. They don't want to deal necessarily with, especially Amazon buyers, because they work their butts off. But they don't want to deal with an old house and old house problems. So in their mind, they want to be able to come home, not think about the house, just drop off their bag, make some dinner, or bring in their takeout because they're probably getting home late enough that they don't want to make dinner. Sit on the couch in front of their computer and their TV and watch TV and just relax. They don't want to worry about I gotta get a plumber in here because that sink's leaking and all those little maintenance things. They don't want to deal with that. So they're looking more. They're happy to have a very small yard. They don't need a big yard. They're happy with a townhouse because they don't have a lot of big yards. Even if they have a dog, which a lot of them happen to have, because a lot of these tech companies, you can bring your dog into work. Not pet, because there'd be like kangaroos and random crap like that.
But your pup.
Yeah, but you can bring your dog into work at Amazon.
Yeah.
That's a big enough yard for
Yeah.
them. I mean, it's a 8x8, 10x10 little patch of grass, and that's all you got. But that's all they need.
Yeah,
they're also looking at condos.
Yep.
So the Luma, which is a new building going on in First Hill, that's a big one. There's also the Insignia, which we have a couple clients that have bought in there. I mean, they're not cheap, but your lifestyle is just great. You can walk to anything you want.
Well, speaking of Amazon, we hosted a home buyer meetup mixer this last month down in South Lake Union.
At
we
Cactus,
had a great showing at Cactus. We had a great showing of a lot of Amazon employees came out to that. But why don't you tell our listeners a little about the home buyer meetups, mixers that we do every, 4 to 8 weeks?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they are so if anyone ever wants to attend one, they can go to beersandhomebuying.com. That's beer, as in the alcohol. Beersandhomebuying.com. That's kind of our thing. We always have, so at Cactus, for instance, we had a ton of food. It's all free. We had drinks, and you can just hang out, listen to us kind of explain the home buyer process, how we work. It's super casual. It's no pressure, no commitment, nothing like that. And it's fun, and that's kind of how we work. A lot of it is a lot of the questions that we get at these events are, especially with Amazon. Amazon gets bonuses or RSUs.
Yes.
So one question that often pops up is, how do you factor that into getting a mortgage?
Yeah, and it's difficult. I mean, that's a whole other show, RSU income. So, but it is important because it's substantial money.
Yeah.
And it's money that is oftentimes budgeted into their purchase. So, it's the feedback we got after the last class was brilliant.
Yeah.
One of the really great things I love about them is I love listening to you talk. That's how I stay kind of current on the Seattle market. Christian, now that obviously we have a radio show, I would go there to learn what in the heck is going on. This is what's happening now. So, yeah, those are some of the big things that we really enjoy talking about there.
Yeah, it's a fun deal. Anybody that wants to ever attend, beersandhomebuying.com. And we're going to head off to a break real quick. After the break, we're going to talk about the Seattle housing market.
Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts Christian Nossum and Dan Keller continues after this. Time for more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
All right, so welcome back to Seattle Real Estate Radio on KKOL 1300. This is Dan Keller. This is my favorite time, typically of the month, where I get to talk to Christian about the real estate market here in Seattle. But now, because of the show, I get to learn about it weekly. So, Christian, tell us what's going on with the real estate market. This is your housing market minute with Christian Nossum.
Yeah, so it is. I mean, right now it is mid-October, not December. The very first show. We have not forwarded 2 months. So, so it's early October, and the housing market throughout this year was a little crazy. It went nutso for a while there, and we went from seeing 1 to 2 offers on every house in January, February, to all of a sudden March came, it jumped up to 8 offers for every house. And we're talking Seattle proper, in the Seattle area. And then it went to 10 plus offers on almost every single house. And we've started to cool back off again, thankfully, because it was crazy. And it was hard for any buyer to get a house. And if you got one, you felt lucky. You were privileged just to win and beat out all these other buyers, which we have a great system for beating out other buyers. But it was tough. It was not easy. So thankfully, it's gone from 10 offers on pretty much every house to 3 to 4, which is still a very, very hot market, but it's not insane like it was.
Yeah, in saying that, though, how long are homes on the market right now? You list a home and it's priced right.
If it's marketed and priced correctly, it's still not lasting more than a week.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still going very, very quickly. And again, it's gotta be priced right. It's got to be marketed right with good photos, not like a flip phone photo, which somehow, I don't know how some real estate agents get hired when they use absolutely horrible photography and they only take 4 photos.
Does anybody still use a flip phone?
I don't know, but the real estate agents must, because that's what
Yeah.
it looks like some of their photos are. It makes no sense. I don't know how they get any business, but whatever. Yeah, and again, as long as it's priced well and everything, it's going to sell within a week.
Okay.
And if anything, it's almost better to slightly, not a lot, but slightly underprice, because you know that you're going to get multiple offers. Your offers are going to be stronger, meaning they're going to remove more contingencies, and you're going to still get the amount of money that you want, but you're going to be able to create a lot more attention to your home.
A big myth in the market, I've heard this for years, is that the market always slows down in the fall and the winter. Is that the case here in Seattle, and is that the case this year?
Well, so generally that is true. But last year, that did not happen. Okay. I did not see that happen. Generally, you just think of a normal bell curve. January is at the beginning, December's at the end. Generally, it peaks in the summer, and then it slows back down in the winter. But with the decreased supply that's been on the market this last 2 years really, and the huge demand from buyers, I don't see it really slowing down. And I just saw on the National Association of Realtors just released an article just last week where they talked about this is the time to buy, which they seem to say no matter what the market is, and it's so cheesy. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, annoying to us. 'Cause then we have to re-educate you on anybody that's listening. But anyways, they said that this time of year between now and kind of January is the time to buy. And in maybe some parts of the country that's true. And maybe you can get a better deal, slightly better deal here in Seattle, because it is starting to slow down. So maybe that's more the reason why it's time to buy here than it is the time of year. It's just not as crazy. And I don't know if buyers are just taking a break because they want a breather because they lost out on 10 offers, or if it's more
of an inventory thing.
Yeah,
what they're looking for just may not be there, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and one app that, it's an app. It also has a website that I came across just this last week, which is pretty cool. It's Seattle. I gotta look it up. Anyways, I'll talk about that later. I gotta look it up on my phone. But it's a pretty cool app, so we'll talk about that a little later too.
Okay. Sounds good. So, hey, well, I'm glad to hear that it's calmed down a little.
Yeah, it was nutso.
Yeah,
like I said.
I was getting the back end of the feedback from clients, the frustration side of it. This is our 8th home we've written an offer on, and there's no hope. It's doomed. We're doomed. We're never going to find a home. Yeah. So, I'm glad to hear that things are slowing down a bit.
Yes, it's nice. It's not as crazy. I can actually be home sometimes. I'm not working 12-hour days every day.
That's a good thing.
So, Dan, I wanted to ask you some questions, kind of about your side of the business. I kind of gave everybody an update about the real estate side, but since the crash, the perception's that it's really hard to get a mortgage. Can you kind of tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's kind of the purpose of this segment right now that you and I that we're talking about is helping people better understand what the market's doing and what it takes to be a part of today's market. So, it is tough to get a mortgage. I think, we talk about this all the time with our clients. I don't like to instill fear in people, but I don't want people to think that it's as simple as clicking on a website, getting a rate, having them pull your credit and say, hey, you're pre-qualified for $730,000. It's not that easy.
No, there's a whole lot more.
There's a 5-inch book of guidelines that sits on my desk that I hold myself accountable to understanding and knowing. There's no way you can memorize it, but you have to have an idea.
A general understanding.
Of what's going on. Yeah, and it's more difficult than ever, I would say, to qualify for a mortgage. However, if you have a job, have consistent income, have a credit score that doesn't have to be perfect, but, that you don't abuse credit, you pay your bills on time, and a down payment, there's a good chance that you're going to be approved and that it's going to be a pretty seamless process. But, you do it I spend a lot of time up front. I always get phone calls, hey, what are your rates? And although rates are important, I think there's a pretty even playing field out there with all the banks. I'm really hitting home. It's strategy. Okay, how do we get you into this house? You need a 10 or a 20-day closing in order to win an offer, and you're only putting down 5% or 10%. You're competing against 20% down offers. You're competing against all cash offers. You have to have a strategy.
Yeah, and that is where you and I love to strategize, and that's how we've stayed extremely busy this year in the Seattle area. Yeah. Where we had one where we had 34 offers on a house, and our client won because, and they beat out again 33 other people. Numerous were all cash
with less than 20% down.
They had less than 20% down.
Yeah, and
it's crazy, and it's because we can do things where as long as you plan ahead, you can do that 10 to 14-day closing, 20-day closing. Yeah, and it's which is basically as fast as all cash.
Yes, it is, and typically, you know this as much as I do. When you have $700,000 in cash, it's tough to part with that $700,000 cash. It's much easier to put down $200,000 and finance the rest. Therefore, people with cash tend to have egos. They tend to lowball. Yep. So you can come in with a stronger offer. But my point is preparation. Preparation's key. Budgeting first off. So understanding what you want to pay first for your mortgage before you go out and get attached to a home
and look at houses. Yes. And that's one thing that I harp on as well, and that's what we talk about in our classes, is figure out what do you want to pay every month.
Exactly.
And work backwards from there. And that's why the big reason why I love working with you.
Budgeting's big, and then let's get you in and get you pre-underwritten. I've got a great staff that we take care of that up front. I tell my clients we're going to do the heavy lifting will happen up front.
Yep. All the paperwork gathering.
But you've heard it. You've heard professional athletes say and just speak about preparation. Our local superstar Russell Wilson, separation is in the preparation. It's the key when it comes to getting a mortgage and winning in the Seattle real estate market.
Yeah. So where do you see interest rates going over the next 3 months or so?
Oh, Lord. The crystal ball question. Gosh. Well, where do I see them go? Right now, if you were to look up, or if you've been in the market and you've looked at 30-year fixed rates, they're low. We're flirting with the upper 3s and low 4% on 30-year fixed rate mortgages right now. Historically, it's about as good as they've ever been. So what I tell my clients, from a crystal ball standpoint, and real estate agents and people that ask me, what are rates, where are they going, and what are they doing, and where are they going? I tend to say they're as low as they've ever been. You've already won your money at the poker table. Yeah. Cash it in. Yeah. So be happy with where they're at now. Where they're going, I think they're going to stay right around the 4% range. You have to understand what mortgage rates are attached to, what causes mortgage rates to move. Good economic news tends to increase mortgage rates. And I'm not a big Fox News, MSN or NBC. I don't really watch news outlets a whole lot because I think it's their own perceptions, each station's perception. What I tend to watch is economic data. Yeah. And the economic data that's released on a weekly and monthly basis does not support rates going up. You're hearing a lot of talk about the Feds increasing rates. We're going to talk about that later in the show, Christian. But for now, my
China too.
China's economy is in the tanks as well. Yeah. So I think I'll talk about a few things right now that I base my opinion on. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but for right now, I think you're going to see rates staying right around where they're at, plus or minus 0.25%. Okay. Could go down 0.25%, they could go up about 0.25%, but I think that's a good range.
Okay, cool, cool. So, what types of documents and things like that are people generally needing to gather when they are applying for a mortgage? Just real basic. Yeah. What's the general?
And unfortunately, that's a tough question. Depending on the institution, the online lenders are going to ask for the minimal. I'm going to ask for everything. Yeah. So I'm going to want to see ID. And we're doing a lot of mortgages right now for relocation borrowers for these tech companies that are not U.S. Well, they're on a work visa.
Yeah, that's
okay?
true. That's a lot of them.
So
actually.
I'm going to want proof of identity, Social Security, work visas if applicable, tax returns from the past 2 years, W-2s from the past 2 years, most recent pay stubs, bank statements to see that you actually have that money, that it didn't
That down
just show
payment
up.
money.
Yeah, we want to track things like that. I think it's healthy, right?
Yeah.
So, those are some of the things, and then we're going to dig a little deeper. We're going to peel back the layers of the onion as we evaluate that information. But like I said, we do it up front to eliminate any hurdles and errors when it matters most, and that's when you have an offer.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, again, I say this a lot, but, I mean, I can choose to work with any mortgage broker. And I chose you years ago because you are so good, because you do care, and because you do really want to get people the best deal.
Yep.
So after this break, we got to take a quick one, but after this break, we're going to have Dan's Mortgage Minute.
You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller. We're back with Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
Welcome back to Seattle Real Estate Radio on KKOL 1300. This is Christian Nossum, and right now we get to learn a little bit about the mortgage market. So, Dan, why don't you give me your weekly mortgage minute?
Mortgage Minute with Dan. Yeah, so as far as interest rates and where they're going right now, that's the first thing I want to talk about. We're kind of trading, bonds have been trading in a sideward pattern for the past week and a half. And what that means is they haven't really gone up and they haven't really gone down.
Okay.
I think the market is extremely confused right now. We're getting economic data, and before we went to break, I had mentioned I don't watch news outlets. I don't want to listen to rubbish. I want to look at the facts. And I get paid to study the facts. And so I tend to look at I tend to focus just on economic data that's released weekly. And based off of the economic data that's coming out over the last 2 to 3 weeks, it is not supporting interest rates to increase. We've got as of Friday of last week, we have very poor import and export numbers that came out. And that's actually a sign of deflation. That's bringing up deflationary concerns. So, which is obviously not good.
Yeah.
We've got GDP, the Gross Domestic Product report, which is the number one economic indicator, which is extremely poor right now. We have employment numbers that are just not real great nationally. We have a global economy right now with China and Argentina. We've got Europe. A lot of big players tend to have some concerns right now, tend to be going through some very tough times, if you will. So as far as interest rates right now, we're going to continue to probably trade in that range until something changes, until you see a change in the economic data.
Well, cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's really good. So if people want to stay up to date on rates, is there anything that you offer to people that they can do that?
Absolutely. So when a client applies for a mortgage with me, I get their email address typically, and I put them into an exclusive program that I have. It's called Making Sense of the Market, and I send it out weekly to my clients, exclusively to my clients and my past clients. And what it does is I publish it every week. It's a short 1 to 2 minute video, and it's what's happening in the market. You're either going to see a green arrow on the screen pointing down, which means rates are trending down. You're going to see a red arrow on the screen, which means rates are trending upward, and I'm going to talk about something relevant in the market. So, unfortunately, I don't publish that live for everybody because a lot of people, I did that once and it tended to get swiped by the wrong people. So I keep it exclusive, and I put a lot of work into it, Christian, to be honest with you.
I watch them every week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very helpful.
Yeah.
And it keeps me as an agent up to date so I can educate my clients on what's going on.
Yep.
And,
Yep. So all I need is your email. You can feel free to reach out to me, and I can add you to that list. When you apply for a mortgage with our team, you automatically get that.
Yeah, mymortgageGuyDan.com.
mymortgageGuyDan.com.
All right. So one thing that I wanted to point out, that one of the reasons I love working with you is because you really will do anything for your clients, our mutual clients, whatever. So
there isn't anything I won't do for my clients, Christian. I mean, if it involves me driving to OMAC in an afternoon, I will do that.
And you have done that, unfortunately.
I have done that. It didn't make for a happy wife and or a happy Dan, but I will do anything for my clients.
Yeah. And I can attest to that. I mean, you really will literally drive to the escrow company, pick up the loan docs, and bring them directly back to your bank so that they can fund that same day. And it's I haven't run across any other lender that's done that. I mean, maybe there are others that do it, but I haven't run across that yet. So that's super impressive, and part of the reason, again, that I love working with you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's going to wrap my mortgage minute. I tried to keep it to a minute. Sorry, we went a little over on that one. But I want to jump into the second segment here, and I want to talk with you, Christian. I want to talk with you about what is going on in Seattle right now, specifically in Seattle. I think, like I said, once a month, I loved listening to you talk about the market, how it's changing, how it's moving. And, I want to talk to you right now. What is it like? I want to talk to you about what it's like to be a home buyer. We spent a little bit of time earlier talking about some of the stresses, some of the how the market. We just came out of a very aggressive market. But right now, October 2015, what is it like to be a buyer, whether you're first time or you're a move up?
Buying a house is an emotional process. And it's something that, as a guy, I'm not the greatest at knowing, but, and my wife can attest, but as a real estate agent, someone that's helped hundreds of people buy and sell over the years, over the last decade that I've been doing this, I've learned how to kind of walk you through, how to walk someone through that process. And it's an interesting one. I mean, you go from searching for homes online and finding one that you think is the one, and you get excited. You go, whoa, I just found this house. Honey, come here, look at this. This house looks awesome. Let's go look at it. You go look at it. You get super excited even more because now you're going, holy crap, this might be the house. Let's make an offer. Then you make an offer, and while you're waiting, you're freaking out because you don't know if you're going to get the offer accepted. After that, you get the offer accepted. You're elated again. Yeah. You're just pumped. Then you have your inspection, and you find out that the sewer line's bad, and it's going to cost $15,000 to repair or $5,000 or whatever the number is. And then you're freaking out again because you're like, well, how the heck are we going to do that? Then you're negotiating with the seller, trying to figure out who's paying. And that's stressful because now you're getting mad at the seller because they don't want to pay, but you don't want to pay either. And so it just goes on and on, step after step. So as long as you know the goal and you keep that in mind, and I'm here to help you out through that process, it's an okay process. It's emotional, but as long as you know ahead of time, you're going to be fine. So
a big question, I get asked this during the pre-qualification, pre-approval process is it smart to do a pre-inspection? What is a pre-inspection versus like a home inspection?
Yeah, well, and that's something that's actually very important, probably 90% of the time in this market in Seattle. And what that is, so a normal inspection, and how the process normally works is you make an offer, then you get an inspection. In this crazy market where there's numerous offers on pretty much every home, you have to do your inspection up front. Okay. And the reason why is because you want to eliminate as many contingencies. And a contingency essentially is a way for you to back out of the offer. So if you can get your inspection done up front and not have to worry about that being in your offer, where the seller, once they get your offer, they go, oh, okay, well, they're offering the most money. Oh, and they've already done an inspection, so they can't back out that way. Oh, another contingency is financing. Well, they've been fully approved because they're working with Dan, because that's how we work. Yeah. They're fully approved. They can close in 14 days or 20 days, which is as fast as, oh, well, look at this cash offer we have here. They're offering more money. They've waived their contingency for financing, waived their inspection. If you can do all those things, you're setting yourself up for success.
Preparation.
Yep.
Okay, big question, which I love answering this on my side because I get it too. How do you get the best deal in real estate as it relates to a real estate agent? You know, I know there's discount brokers. There's a big one that's local, and not naming any names, but there's a lot of discount brokers out there. And, I can give you testimonial after testimonial story, real life stories of why you should hire a pro and interview and find a pro. But what are your thoughts? Why should people use you, a professional real estate broker versus a discount broker?
Let me throw a little bit back at you. Why you work with a ton of different real estate agents? Why do you think? I mean, based on you.
Well, here's the thing. You guys, this is what I do know. I know this for a fact, that a real estate contract is a legal contract. Okay, you guys are held to the level of attorneys, lawyers. You're interpreting, you're disclosing legal terms, okay, a legal contract. For, bigger than that, for the largest financial decision of somebody's life.
Most of the time,
Most of the time it is. So do you really want to leave that up to an amateur? You know, there's a quote out there, I actually have it on my website. If you think working with me is expensive, try working with an amateur. So I see it all the time, Christian. I see, you know, unfortunately, when transactions get to us, they're ratified contracts.
Yeah.
So I see the messes. I don't see the lawsuits. Everybody talks about getting sued. It costs so much money to sue.
No one wants to sue
Litigation is it's very expensive. But I see the emotional. I see upset clients.
Yeah. And one of the things that I do is I tell my clients, when we're out looking at stuff, I tell my clients to not buy way more houses than I ever tell them to buy a house. So most of the time we're going through a house, I'm saying, this thing's kind of a piece of crap.
Yeah.
And it's going to sell for 75 grand more than asking or 20 grand more than asking. It's not worth it. Don't buy this house. And that's what I'm telling most of the time. It's not me pressuring them to do it. It's, yo, this is not a great house. Let's wrap it up. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah.
This is not a good house to buy.
So, I mean, I'm hearing you say advice is key. Advice, service, and, you know, and going back to the talk we had earlier, our conversation earlier on millennials, millennials, believe it or not, want service. They want advice. They want their hand held in a different way. They don't want you to physically hold their hand, but through various forms of tech and advice, that's how they want to be led. They want to be led by a professional. So, and that's one of the reasons why you've blown up and you've had so much success as a real estate professional. So I understand the expert part of it. So let me ask you one more question, because we're about out of time. What is the one thing, if you could say in 30 seconds or less, what is the one thing that sets you apart from another agent, another broker, your competition, or a discount broker?
Well, I believe that an educated client is going to make the best decision. So I'm all about education. I'm all about you being educated on not only the process of buying a house, but the market, the real estate market. So you got to be an expert. You almost have to be up to speed on what's going on in the market as much as I am. And that's how, as long as you're educated on the process and the market, you can make a very informed and quick decision, and you're not stressed as much. It's going back to that emotional thing. If you can make an informed decision, you're not regretting it. You're not worried. You're not freaking out. It helps so much, and that's my goal every time. And that's why, I mean, on my website, I had that video series. It's a 15-part video series. Each video is 1 to 2 minutes long. They're in plain English. There's no acronyms, which again we hate. And each video goes step by step through the home buying process. And it's easy. It makes it so much easier.
No surprises.
Exactly. Exactly. And as long as you're educated, you know that there's not going to be issues. So,
okay. Well, I mean, that's the most important thing to us. An educated buyer is a smart buyer. So we got to take a break. When we come back, we are going to hear about that Euro place, the best Euro place in Seattle.
Yes, we are. I'm excited to talk about it.
I'm hungry.
Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts Christian Nossum and Dan Keller continues after this. Time for more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
All right, so welcome back. You are listening to Seattle Real Estate Radio on KKOL 1300 Business Radio. This is Dan Keller. I am kind of wanting everybody to know that today's segment is all about real estate and mortgage. Every week, it's not necessarily going to be so focused on the process, so focused on what we're up to and what we're doing We will have Mortgage Minute real estate segments where we talk about what the market's currently doing.
Yeah, that's happening every week. But mostly this show was all about buying a house
All
and how
about
the
it.
process works
Yeah.
in the current market.
All about us. It's our show.
Exactly.
It's our first show.
As it should be.
That's it. So, one of the things I think in wrapping up the show today, I kind of I wanted to ask you a couple of things real briefly on some of the things that we've had to go through recently with some new guideline changes.
Yeah.
And it involves closing on a home. And I'm going to spend a little bit more time. I think it's too soon to really talk about these changes, but our industry this last week went through massive historic changes. The CFPB came in and got another acronym.
We need a little button for
Consumer
acronym.
Financial Protection Bureau. Hey, they came in and they basically, you've heard of the good faith estimate and the truth in lending disclosures, got rid of them. They combined them into what's called a loan estimate worksheet.
Okay.
That's it, a loan estimate. And then they got rid of the final, TIL and HUD, which you would get and you would sign and get at closing, and turn that into a closing disclosure. And so you have 2 docs now instead of all 4 of those. But what I wanted to talk with you about is the closing procedure. You do something pretty spectacular when one of your clients closes on a loan. Or closes on a home.
You're not
a lender.
I'm not helping people buy a house.
What do you do? What is it you do? And most of the time, I'm involved, and I enjoy doing that. But tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, it's a lot of fun, and I am always grateful when a client chooses to work with me, because really they could work with anyone, obviously. But I always thank my clients. And one thing that I do that really, I don't know of anyone else in Seattle doing this, I throw my clients a housewarming party. They're going to have a housewarming party most likely regardless of if I'm there or not. So what I do is I actually throw it for them as a thank you gift. So I love, and I talked about this briefly, this right now, if you're listening, trying to figure out where the best Euro place, this is where I'm saying it. So I love Mediterranean Express.
Okay.
It is one of my favorite restaurants, and I go there all the time. And so I actually cater the housewarming party with their food. So we have a Euro bar all set up at the housewarming party. So it's awesome. I mean, we got everything that you would normally have on a Euro. The one thing that is awesome, and in addition to the normal tzatziki sauce, which is normally on a Euro, is they make their own garlic sauce every day, fresh. And that stuff is amazing. So I always go the extra mile. I buy that extra garlic sauce bottle. I actually usually buy 2 when we bring one home when we use it when we're cooking dinner the rest of the week.
So buy a home from Christian, and you're going to eat really good.
Yep. So we bring a Mediterranean Express with the Euro bar. We bring them some alcohol. So we bring them some beer, obviously, and some drinks and water and stuff like that. And then your wife generally tends to kick in with a little something. What does she usually bring?
Occasionally, Jenny Cookies will step in with some desserts. But
Dan's wife is kind of famous.
Kind of. We'll talk about her later.
People magazine and stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
And
she's
Us
rocking
Weekly,
it. She knows how to throw parties. So.
Yes, she does. In fact, we just had your 40th up at Simiamu.
So for our listeners, you're dating me now.
Yeah,
you're dating me back.
I'm going to do that.
40 last 2 weeks ago. 40 years old.
Yeah, man, you're old.
I'm old.
You're not old. Yeah, but that was fun. That was a lot of fun. That was a great party she did.
Yeah. She is fantastic. So,
yes.
So housewarming party. Throw a housewarming party. Before that, talk to me about closing. You close on a home. You're going to escrow. You have to sign final loan documents. What typically happens? Do you get keys right when you sign loan documents?
No. So unlike basically every show that's on HGTV, which people like to watch that, which there's nothing wrong with that. So they watch that show and they see, like the viewers that are watching on YouTube right now, they see you're the seller, I'm the buyer. We're both signing documents. They hand them back and forth across the table. And then you slide me the keys and I'm now the owner.
Yep.
That's not how it works in Washington.
No.
And actually a lot of the West Coast does not work that way. So how it works here is your closing date is the day you get your keys. Your signing appointment at escrow, which escrow is a different company. They're a neutral third party. You go to their office or they come to you, however you want to do it, and you sign your loan docs there. And that usually happens a day or 2 or 3 prior to your closing date. So you don't get your keys until your actual closing date. And it's usually late that afternoon. So I usually tell people between 4 and 6 p.m. or so. That's when we're going to get word that your loan has officially closed. You are now the homeowner. Let's meet up. Let's pop some champagne. Let's celebrate. Get your keys. Meet up at your new house. Go check it out.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's fun.
And with the new disclosures, it's you're going to sign, have to wait 3 days.
Oh,
then
that's
fund.
right.
So
that's right. Yeah. So now it's at least 3 days.
At least
huh?
3. Yeah. So okay, here's the deal. It's October.
Yes,
I
it
gotta
is.
ask you this. What are you doing for? You got 2 little kids. I've
Yeah.
got 2 little kids.
Yeah.
What are you doing for Halloween?
So I got a 4-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son. And since the 1-year-old doesn't really have a say in what's going on yet, the daughter's the one choosing what everyone's wearing.
Yeah.
So she wanted to be Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. So she's going to be Dorothy, which is fun for her. And she's been singing the song nonstop, which is pretty cute.
Yeah.
And it's super cute. She's got little red ruby slippers and everything. She's got Toto in a basket, which is hilarious. And it's awesome. So
Tin Man.
exactly. Well, Tin
No.
Man's not going to make the appearance. But her little brother, he's got a little lion costume.
Okay.
He looks adorable. We'll see if he keeps it over his head or if he peels it off the whole time. And then my wife is going to be Glenda the Good Witch.
The good one.
Yes, exactly.
Is
Not
there
the
a
bad
good one?
Yeah.
Okay, there is a good one.
Yeah. You need
Okay.
to rewatch that.
I need to
apparently.
rewatch it.
Yeah. And then I'm going to be the Scarecrow.
I had a feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very scary.
Does the Scarecrow have a heart?
Yes.
Yes.
I do. What about you? What are you going to be?
We do the same thing. You know, we raised our kids. So I've got Allie. Allie's 9 and Hudson's 7. And the first house that we raised our kids in is a great little community. So we always go back to that
Nice.
community.
Yeah, that's fun.
We don't live there. We haven't lived there in over 3 years. But we go back and we trick or treat and say hi to our old friends and neighbors.
Cool.
So, but this guy will be carrying most likely the umbrella.
Oh, yeah. That's what you're going to be. You're going to be the umbrella
That's it.
holder
That and the flashlight and watching out for
cars.
Hudson the Hurricane. Make sure he doesn't take off and
Yeah, he
Get
is pretty
lost.
crazy. We
He's
went
crazy.
fishing last Sunday.
yeah.
And, well, I guess it was 2 weekends ago now.
Yep.
And it was beautiful. It
Beautiful.
was gorgeous out.
What'd we catch?
We caught 2 coho.
Yeah.
My daughter caught one little tiny, what do you call them again?
Silver. It's a coho.
No, I know.
Oh, the shakers.
The
Yep,
shakers,
baby.
the little
Yep.
one. She caught a little one.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
She still talks about that.
Well, we will spend plenty of time talking about fishing. It's a passion of mine, getting out on the Puget Sound and salmon fishing, and,
Yeah, that's
and I know
fun.
you love it. So
Yeah.
it was a joy to have you
when
and
we
your daughter out.
when we came home, she goes, or no, when we got in the car, we're leaving the Everett Marina,
Yeah.
and she goes, "I want to do that again, but next
Yes.
time, we got to get crabs too."
Crabs. Yep.
So
That's it.
I'm like, "Yes, we do. You're right." So
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
now she's talking about that all the time. So real quick, I need to give Mediterranean Express a
Got it.
little shout out.
So good.
They are so awesome. So they have, like I said, the most amazing gyros. They have chicken, like amazing chicken, some saffron rice, and like I said earlier, the best garlic sauce I've ever had. They offer catering, and a lot of our clients actually have had their office cater meals. So I know, what is it? I know Moz, they do, I think it's every Thursday or something like that.
Oh, wow.
They cater it in, and they've done Mediterranean Express a bunch.
Yeah.
Amazon does it, Tableau does
Yeah.
it, all the hospitals right up here on First Hill, Pill Hill, they all do it. And they're actually located right here on the corner of Broadway and Pike in First Hill, Capitol Hill, in the Harvard Square building. So you can always check them out online at medexpress-seattle.com or just Google it, Mediterranean Express. And this segment's actually sponsored by Mediterranean Express, so that's part of the reason why we're talking about it.
You know,
a
I
little
can
bit,
tell you
that
firsthand. You introduced me to them a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And
I introduce everyone there, actually.
I'm telling you, you can't. Nothing compares.
No, exactly. So we'll tune in next Monday at 3 to 4, to hear some updates on the housing and mortgage market, and to hear from a special guest, Tyler Curley, who is an insurance expert, and he's going to give us some good tips on all that. And he's with Path Insurance. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
To contact the show or for more information, visit SeattleRealEstateRadio.com. That's SeattleRealEstateRadio.com. And be sure to tune in again next Monday at 3 for more Seattle Real Estate Radio. with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller, right here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL.